What's up, guys? My name is Rob, and welcome back to Rule of Two Review. Today, the new 3DS takes over Japan. So this is kind of a weird piece of news because I can't really tell if it's good news or bad news or a great thing or a terrible thing or a middle-of-the-road thing, which I guess kind of means it has to be considered middle-of-the-road, maybe, perhaps? Anyway, what's happened is, in the last couple of days, Nintendo has announced that in Japan only so far, they are going to discontinue and stop producing and selling the 3DS XL, and only the XL model, not the original regular-size 3DS. Now, they're doing this because on October 11th, the new 3DS did launch in Japan, which most of us probably know. And I don't know if everyone really knows this, but it sold amazingly. It sold almost 250,000 units in just its first couple of days on sale, and it's been doing fantastically since then. It is actually the fastest and best-selling 3DS in the 3DS family since its launch of any of the previous 3DS models, or even the DS, I think. It's insane how well that thing has been doing. And so, of course, on the heels of this success, Nintendo comes out with this announcement that in Japan, no more 3DS XLs. You can, of course, purchase the regular 3DS, or you can do the new 3DS or the new 3DS XL. So that still leaves 3 out of what we thought was going to be 4 3DS models available in Japan. And there's a lot of different angles to this, and some of it's good and some of it's bad, like I said, so I'm going to discuss what I think this really could mean. So firstly, I've been really trying to figure out, do I feel like this is a good thing or a bad thing? Just for me personally, in my own opinion. At first I was really, I don't want to say upset about it, but I was like, wow, that's kind of a stupid thing to do. So I was a little bit mad at Nintendo. The more I've thought about it, the more it actually makes sense. And it's become less offensive of a move the more I've thought about it. That doesn't still mean that I don't think it's maybe not the best thing to do. I don't think that this is necessary. I don't think it's going to really hurt Nintendo or the gamers, really. But I think it's kind of stupid. I don't really know why they felt like this was such a smart thing. Just because the new 3DS is selling so well, why do you have to, discount the 3DS? But here are some of the reasons why I think this is actually not the worst move. The number one thing that comes to mind when I thought about why they would have done this is the simple fact that the new 3DS and the 3DS are very similar. They are almost the exact same system. And more importantly, they're almost the exact same price. And that's really important. That's going to become important again in a minute here. So they're almost the same system. There are a couple of differences. We all know them. Of course, the new 3DS has the second analog nub stick kind of thing. So you've got kind of 3D camera control easier for the new 3DS than the old 3DS model. The other big thing really is the slight increase in power. And, I think it's processing computer power, like GPU power. I don't know if it's exactly the graphics processor. I could be wrong. Long story short, we know it's got some element of added power that the previous 3DS models do not have, allowing the new 3DS to potentially play many games that the older 3DS models won't be able to play. Of course, the only one confirmed that we all know about is a 3DS port of Xenoblade Chronicles. And that is the only game we've heard about that will only run on the new 3DS and not the previous 3DS due to the fact that the new 3DS has increased power. So when there's those two major differences, but other than that, they are still ultimately almost the same thing. And so some people are pretty upset about the fact that why would you do this, and again, only in Japan. This has not been confirmed for the States yet, so I'm trying to just analyze why they would do this in Japan. So, some people are upset that in Japan, it's this whole, why would you get rid of this system? I love this system. I want to buy this system. What if we don't want the new 3DS, yada, yada. And, I get that. And like I said at first, I was on that boat, but here's the thing. Because they're almost the same system, and because the new 3DS will still play anything that the 3DS does, and they are essentially the same system. They are the same generation. This is not a new generation 3DS. This is still the 3DS with some added features. And because of that, it literally makes no difference to regular 3DS XL owners. It doesn't render everything that is the 3DS obsolete. This isn't the same as going from PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, whereas all of a sudden, you've got two different systems that have to be supported very separately. And it's like, we can only make a game for the PlayStation 2, and we can only make a game for the PlayStation 3. So the PlayStation 3 is going to make the PlayStation 2 obsolete. That's not really happening here because the 3DS, the new 3DS, oh my God, I was bound to confuse these at some point. So the new 3DS XL is not going to make the 3DS XL obsolete because they are the same system. And so having a newer model, if Nintendo scraps this old model, and especially if this becomes standard in Europe and the United States, North America as well, which I think it's bound to do so, if that does happen, it's it doesn't matter that the regular 3DS XL doesn't exist, because anyone who has a 3DS XL will still be able to play all of the 3DS games that continue to come out. They will not stop coming. Supporting the new 3DS is basically still supporting the regular 3DS. I think that's the crazy sort of, concise statement that I was trying to think of to sum this up. Basically, if they continue with the new 3DS, it's not gonna prevent the 3DS XL from still being relevant, because it's the same game. The only benefit is anyone who buys a new 3DS going forward, which eventually would probably be everybody if that becomes the only system available, has the access to all of the 3DS games, and now those few 3DS games going forward that may only work with the new 3DS. Man, this is really hard to keep straight in my head, guys. Like, I keep messing up 3DS and new 3DS and XL and non-XL. I don't know. So I'm doing the best I can. Hopefully you can follow. It's late and I just got home from work and this is hard. But anyway, I feel like that's the thing, is by supporting the new 3DS, it's not still not supporting the old 3DS models. Whereas again, by comparison, supporting the PlayStation 3 does mean you're not supporting the PlayStation 2. And since that doesn't apply here, that makes it way more okay in my eyes that they're going to be doing this. Which also brings me to two more final points, and this goes back to the pricing thing. This is huge, is because the new 3DS, I think it's a very marginal price increase at best. That also makes it less of a detriment. It's not like Nintendo's forcing people to spend, $50 to $100 more to get into the 3DS family because they're discontinuing a cheaper brand. I mean, I think there's like what would equate to a $10 to $20 difference in US dollars, maybe. So you're almost paying the same price. They're not like, gouging our wallets and saying, ha, you might want to buy the $150 3DS, but now you have to buy the $250 3DS because we're not making the $150 model anymore. They're not doing that. The price is so similar, it's barely going to be affecting our wallets. So that's a wonderful thing. And I'm sure it's one of the many things that Nintendo factored into this decision when considering if this was a smart move. And it also probably, at the end of the day, if they're going to be moving forward for a couple of years with this new 3DS, why waste money making the older model, the technically less efficient model that doesn't have the nub, doesn't have the extra SD space, and doesn't have the extra power for games? Now, the other last thing that I wanted to bring up, and this is really speculative, is really, I kind of have been questioning how many games they're going to make that will exclusively work only for the new 3DS and not the older models, taking advantage of that extra power that I said that the new 3DS does have, which makes Xenoblade Chronicles work with that, for example. I kind of feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like there really will be a very small selection of games doing so. I kind of wouldn't mind it if there was a lot of games that would, because I'd like to see a little bit more power coming out of the 3DS stuff going forward. But I feel like the reason they're not going to do that is probably really reserved for the actual next leap in next generation handheld technology for Nintendo. Whenever they make a true successor to the 3DS, you can't be considering the new 3DS a successor like a next generation 3DS just because of that marginal power jump. A lot of people kind of talk about it or analyze it like that is what Nintendo's treating it as. And to me, it's clear that they're not. And I think that will be further exemplified when we realize there really probably won't be many games coming out utilizing this extra bit of power. I don't think it's that much extra power, and I don't think that they're going to support it that way. It's kind of all but been confirmed that this extra power was really created so that the new 3DS can work better with amiibos. You can do it without connecting this extra like peripheral to your 3DS to have to put your amiibos on. Now the new 3DS with its faster processing power, yes, it can obviously run some games specifically like Xenoblade Chronicles, but I think it was more for the amiibo functionality, so you can just do it right through the system quick and easy, and that's it. So I don't think that this is really meant to be much of a game changer, and I could be wrong. And like I said, I wouldn't even be sad if I was wrong, because yes, it would mean buying another 3DS, but I would like to see some, pretty cool exclusive game content for this new 3DS model. But mark my words, this is just another phase in the 3DS family, and we know that Nintendo goes through phases in its handhelds. People forget that the Game Boy Advance went through like 4 different iterations. There was the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance SP, which was the best easily. There was the Game Boy Micro at the end, and there may be another one. Maybe I'm forgetting. I was working at GameStop throughout that whole generation, so I should remember. But I think it was those 3, maybe a 4th one. Anyway, but that's a good example of some changing factors where they changed little things. Like they added a whole backlight when they went from the Game Boy Advance to the SP, for anyone who remembers that. That was a huge difference. That was a game changer for the Game Boy line, for sure. That was amazing. So anyway, we've seen this stuff before. This is just another small step in the iterations of the 3DS family. I feel like this is the last one. In the next couple of years, we will probably be graced with whatever new next generation handheld thing that Nintendo is working on going forward. And, you know, that'll be a really exciting time. Hopefully that's actually worthwhile. Nintendo can continue their strength in the handheld market. I believe in Nintendo, so I'm sure that they will at that time. So at the end of the day, you know, these are some of the factors. I feel like, you know, like I said, right now this is only happening in Japan. We don't even have the confirmation of the release date or if and when the new 3DS will be coming to the States. You know, North America, I should say, and or Europe. I know it will be, especially with Monster Hunter on the horizon after the new year. I think it absolutely will be coming. And I do think that when that happens, they probably will do the same thing. Maybe they'll do what they did in Japan and kind of play the wait and see game and make sure that it sells just as well in those other territories as it did in Japan. Because it seems pretty obvious that the success of the new 3DS in Japan is what led them to decide to discontinue the old XL 3DS model. And, you know, maybe they're going to play the wait and see game here too. Who knows? But I feel like more than likely we'll get the same thing happening. And you know what? And yes, it means I have to buy another 3DS, but hey, it's going to be fine. And current 3DS XL owners are going to be fine. You're not going to miss out on games. You will be having so many games. Like the 3DS will continue whether you have a regular or a new 3DS. I think that's the thing that stuck out to me the most as I thought about it. Is it really necessary? No. I think it is kind of a silly extra step on Nintendo's part to do so. But you know what? They're probably saving a lot of money by discontinuing that line, you know, down the road. So if it's smarter for them monetarily and they're still providing us with a pretty cool new handheld, hey, it is what it is, and I'm not going to, you know, super complain any more than I did in this video, which really wasn't very much. So anyway, that's it for today. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Of course, as always, I really want to hear your thoughts below. What do you think about the new 3DS as a machine, and what do you think about Nintendo's decision to discontinue the old line, and do you think that will carry over to the other territories, such as Europe and North America and all that good stuff? So, you know, leave your comments and your thoughts below. If you stumbled onto this video, please feel free to subscribe to Rule of Two Review, like and share the video. Again, share your comments about the new 3DS below. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.